Well, I asked my good friend Ronnie Pearson over. He's quite the entrepreneur, and I'm really looking forward to this discussion. I always enjoy talking to him. He's a great guy. Never caught up, so we're about 2 weeks. We're about 2 weeks ahead right now. So did you just get? You're dressed up. You're dressed different than you normally dress, aren't you?
Only on Sundays, Wednesday afternoons.
You have church there Wednesday night too?
Yeah, 3 services a week. So Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday, 7 p.m. And all the services is just like being there on a Sunday morning. We cut no corners. If you showed up on a Wednesday afternoon, it's no different being there on a Sunday morning.
Most churches have a little, like abbreviated or something,
Yeah.
right?
They have prayer, Awana. They kind of downplay it.
Awana?
Yeah, an Awana. It's kind of like a vacation Bible school sort,
Okay.
cater to children of that nature. But I kept all the services the same, and I never knew it, but the churches that cancel Sunday night service, I have Sunday night service, so all them people comes.
Mm-hmm.
And some people don't have Wednesday night service, so all them people comes on Wednesday night. Then they go back to their church on Sunday morning, so my Sunday mornings are different from Sunday night as well as Wednesday. I got 3 different crowds that cycles through. Because
what would you have, maybe 100?
We run around 80 to 110, 120, stay in that neighborhood, pretty consistent. It only can seat about 100 comfortable, so if you get any more than that, it gets kind of crowded in there.
Whenever you read a story in the newspaper or see something on television about somebody getting arrested, you naturally assume they're guilty. Unless the story's about you or someone you love, then you'll think differently. And you'll want a lawyer who will defend you. My name's Scott Canavis. If you or someone you love has been charged with a crime, call me. I'll return your phone calls, I'll work on your case, and I will defend you.
You preaching, kind of like me taking ballet.
I like to see it.
It really didn't go with your,
No.
preaching.
Right, on the other
That was the
businesses.
last thing you'd have thought you'd be doing, right?
100%. But my great-grandpa was a Church of God preacher out of Pikeville. And
Oh,
my grandpa was an old Baptist preacher out of Greasy Creek.
So you got, especially the Pentecostal
I kind of grew
part,
up in that area,
Yeah.
But I never was planning on it because when I was born, 1964, I had a speech impairment. So I couldn't even talk until I was in 6th grade. In 6th grade, I was introduced to speech and hearing classes to learn how to pronounce words. So my speech problem was unreal. So I was always one in the back of the class that never spoke. And, by the grace of God, them teachers back in the day, they passed you because they felt sorry for you.
What was impairment?
Well, in 1964, they never checked your hearing. So they didn't know I had bad hearing until I got in about 4th or 5th grade. They come to the schools and check your hearing. And, if you hear that beep, raise your hand.
Yeah.
I never raised my hand. And what it was, I just had earwax. That's all it was. So I heard the last part of every word. So I never heard the first syllable of a word. So no would be Bo. Glenn was my brother's name, Glenn. I call him Gwen. Wani was with a W.
Yeah.
So Mac was napkins.
Well, that's what you heard, though.
That's all I heard is the last part of each word.
Yeah.
So in 6th grade, when they realized that, they cleaned my ears out. It's like a brand new world. I thought, wow, by so far behind in school, still didn't know the multiplication tables, didn't know how to read or write. I was in 6th grade. And I just kept trying to fake it, push it, cheat as much as I could.
Did you feel like you were, before you found out you had a hearing impairment, did you just think, man, why can't I figure this out?
Not really. I just thought, why can't people understand me? Because nobody could understand me. It was that bad.
But didn't you know that by 4th grade, you pretty much need to know your multiplication tables and divide?
Yeah, I just thought I was a slow learner. I just couldn't figure it out. Because, you know, your parents, my mom and daddy, protect you from that. Oh, there's nothing wrong with him. You know, they ain't about to tell you talk funny. That's how I was known. That was my title for years. Funny Talk Ronnie. I wore that title. I was always picked on, bullied on, and like I said, I never raised my hand in class. I was quiet.
You were always pretty good with your fists, though, if I remember correctly.
Had to. You're getting bullied by being funny talk. But yeah, you know, I only made it to 8th grade. I went 6 weeks of 9th grade and quit. That was it for my education.
Oh, you didn't go past that?
No, couldn't. They passed that new law. You had to pass a TCAP test.
Oh.
Have no hope there.
Where'd you go through 6th grade?
Oak Grove School.
Oh.
Oak Grove.
That was a good school, too,
No,
wasn't
it was. That's where I learned the most. You know, what little bit I did learn. Then hit Truett, and then 6 weeks of Bradley, and I was out. And I tried. I really did. 6 weeks of high school, I failed every class. I just too far behind. Just couldn't do it.
Have you ever read that book? You've learned all you need to know by the 4th grade.
I can't read. To this day, I can't really read.
Well, you would have learned by the 4th grade. See, by 4th grade, you learned multiplication, how to read, divide, subtract, the general stuff.
See, to this day, I still don't know my multiplication tables.
What's 9 times 9?
I really don't know. I'll be honest with you. I know my fives, you know, them areas.
Yeah.
But thank God, you know, they got Google and calculators today. I
Don't
can
need
add.
to know. Let me ask you this. Why don't you ever drink coffee? I've never seen you drink coffee. When I ask you if you get your coffee, you said you don't drink coffee.
Yeah, when I was growing up, everybody smoked and drunk coffee, especially in houses. You know, mom, daddy smoked and drunk coffee. So I connected to smoking and coffee went together. Both of them stunk. So I just thought it's just disgusting, you know. I just never did. To this day, I've never touched coffee, don't know what it tastes like. And same thing with alcohol. I've never tasted any type of alcohol whatsoever. I don't even know what that tastes like.
Did you associate that with cigarettes?
No, I had a alcoholic aunt when I was little, and every time she got bad drunk, they would call my daddy. That was his sister, go get her out of the bars. So I would be in the back seat, she'd get in there cussing, screaming, but she was my favorite aunt. So when that happened, it scared me so bad, I thought, man, alcohol must be really bad. Then my grandma out of Florida, my mother's mother, she was alcoholic. And I was about 6, 7 years old, I remember this. She was chasing me and my brother with a hatchet, trying to chop our heads off. I thought, man, alcohol is unbelievable. So I just never ever tasted of it, never socialized with it, and kept away from it.
That was one thing that people either associated alcoholism or being poor or having a good time or being part of the crowd. You can associate it the other way as well.
But see, I never was part of a crowd. I grew up with speech impairment. So I was always a loner. Up until 7th grade, true story, I sat on half of my seat at school. I said, are you there, Jesus? Yeah, I'm there. So I stayed right, so he'd be right there with me. That's the only person I had with me all them years. I mean, people really don't know what it's like not be able to speak. And if you did, people laugh at you. It was a rough road for me. And I kind of blame God for it. Got off the beaten path there at 17. Just talking about my fist.
Yeah.
That's when all that started up. And I thought, man, I got to change some things. So I got into the...
You did?
Yeah, I did. A guy chased me through town one night. I was 16 years old, and I was scared to death. He chased me because I ran a stop sign, about ran him out of the road. And after that night, I was laying in that bed. I was always bothered. I've been chased all my life, bullied all my life. Next day, I took it in my own hands.
Where did you meet him at? Because I was at Hardy's one night when you were...
Was you around them days?
Oh,
too?
yeah. Yeah, I was.
Well, I started working out at 17, 18 years old. I was 120 pounds.
Yeah, you were thin.
I was little.
Black
man.
hair.
Yeah, and I started being bullied. Been bullied all my life. And I entered one of the first bad mans that came to Chattanooga. Won it.
Yeah.
I thought, man, this feels pretty good. Finally, somebody knew who I was.
Yeah.
Then I took it to the streets. Everybody I knew was a bully. I beat them. I hunt them down and beat them. Then I opened up a gym, and a professional boxer out of Atlanta joined it. He's 132 pounds.
Was that Ronnie's gym?
Yeah, Ronnie's gym in a village.
Yeah.
That's where I first opened in 1982. And he said, look, if you train me how to work out, He said, I'll train you in a box. I thought, that little 132-pound guy ain't going to show me nothing.
Yeah.
So I tried him. He was good. And that's how I got all my skills from him. Then what that did, I thought that would make me meaner or better, but honestly, it calmed me down. Because now I don't feel threatened by nobody. Nobody anywhere I feel a threat from. Even when they say, hey, I'll beat you up, I'm like, oh, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
If you're very good trained at what you do, you don't threaten nobody.
Well, that's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I got all my grandkids, they're in working out, learning how to box a little bit, and it's calmed them down. Because one of them was having such an attitude, and she was getting upset. It was a girl. And I said, the best thing you can do is learn how to box and start working out. It teaches you self-discipline, because either one of them sections, you got to be the one that does it. You feel better about yourself. Nobody can work out for you.
If people felt better about themselves, they wouldn't worry so much about what other people say.
100%. And we all have hidden clauses inside of us. Somewhere, if you're insecurity, I'm not insecure. You can tell who is and who's not. And that's where the church started playing a role in my life.
Can you tell when somebody's insecure right off the bat?
Oh, yeah. It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious. They're a big talker. They talk a lot and they brag a lot. You know, a non-insecure person, he's just quiet. He'll agree with you. Well, really? Is that right? Wow. But an insecure person has to engage in that conversation and throw up bigger tales and bigger stories, because that's the insecurity about who they are. They're building them walls, because I was once there myself. I built them walls around Ronnie's window tent, Ronnie's gym, Ronnie's bad man, and when all them walls crashed down one day, I thought, wow, I found out who I really was. It was a nobody.
Yeah, being a nobody, do you think that it's possible for somebody to not feel like a nobody at some period in their life? I mean, I've been there, you know, like through a season or a year or 2 years or certain ages, you just...
It feels like you're a nobody. That's when kind of God peels back the scales off your eyes, let you see for what you are. We're nobodies. And once you see it, you got two paths you can take. You can build a wall back, build your path, be the somebody that everybody wants to be, or you can be somebody that serve God and help others along the way. We don't have to be anybody. All we got to do is recognize who is the somebody. And to me, it's called Jesus Christ. He's the somebody that has always been there for me, led me in a good direction, and I just try to take what I've learned and help others along.
So if we don't worry about being somebody,
Yeah.
and we're humble as humility.
There you go.
Where's the talk about that in the Bible?
Yeah, it's over in James.
Yeah.
Humble yourself down in the sight of the Lord.
Yeah.
He shall lift you up. But humbleness, that's something I'm very strong on at the church. I tell everybody they need to drink a great big old cup of humbleness. If you don't, one day you're going to wish you did. Because we all are just trying to make it in life.
That's all we're trying to do.
But we're all trying to be that somebody. We got to one-up somebody. We got to build this up. We got to be better than him or her.
Is that an attempt to make it, or is it an attempt? Our desire to shine, is that just another path we're trying to take to make it?
It's more in our instincts. As I tell a story about this snake, he's wanting to get to the other side of the pond. Only way he can get there is on an alligator's back. Alligator said, I'm not going to do that. He said, you'll bite me. He said, I'm not going to bite you. So the snake got on his back. He took him to the other side. When the snake got off, he turned around and bit the alligator. Alligator said, why did you bite me? It's because it was in my instinct. So it's just in our instincts to be somebody. And when you get inside of church, open up that Word of God, and it teaches you, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's better just be humble and be who you are in secret, and you'll be rewarded openly. But we always want to one-up somebody. It's just in our instincts. It's there. We're competitor beast is what we are.
And we all want to be liked.
Yeah, every one of us.
Every one of us.
And that's never going to happen.
You think some people are born without the gene that wants them to be liked? Is there such a thing?
Everybody's born with God. Every soul is born with God. And through your life, you either discover He is God or you reject Him, as the Bible says. If you reject them, that's when he takes your names out of the book of life. A lot of people don't understand Revelations. He said, if you add or take away anything of this word of God, I will add the plagues to your life, or I'll take your name out of the book of life. But see, everybody's name is in the book of life when they're born. A little baby ain't going to go to hell. Their name's written down in the book of life. But when you reject, that's when your name is taken back out of the book of life. Then you go through that season, you either accept Jesus Christ as your Savior, then he says there's a new name written down, and then it's there. But a lot of, and you know, church, good Lord, it's like a boxing ring.
Yeah.
You find the most craziest people inside of the church walls, the craziest. And that's how Graceway Chapel opened it 18 years ago. I've never took a paycheck. Nobody at my church gets paid. All the money comes in, it helps our TV ministry and goes out to help the community, especially little children.
But let's go back to the journey to get there, because
I was trying to be a somebody. That's what it was.
Well, you had Ronnie's gym, Ronnie's tenting.
Ronnie's tent in 1982.
Yeah, which you still have, right?
Yep, still got it.
That girl that does that is one of the best.
Becky does good.
Yeah.
She does real good.
She's one of the best.
I trained her good.
She is really
like
good.
You said, in 1982, I supposedly one of the first ones ever started tinting windows in the state of Tennessee. This is before anybody knew what it was.
Yeah, it was a new thing, sort of.
And back to my childhood, growing up in school, you know, when I got 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I was already painting, working on cars. My daddy's, to this day, 84, he's still painting, works on cars. So when I was in first 6 weeks of 9th grade, I was making $600 a week painting cars. So my mentality was, if I quit now, I had 4 more years of high school, which I knew I wasn't going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
I had 4 years of head start getting something to get together. So I started out originally on paint and body work. Then I went to Ronnie's gym, Ronnie's winter tenting, because I learned it's really hard to make a business and produce $100,000 a year. But you can open up 4 little ones and easily do $25,000 each.
Well, that's a good idea.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I went with these little businesses, and they produced the $100,000 that I needed. And it's just always worked for me. But the tree, Ronnie's tree service,
Yeah.
it outgrew me. So that thing went huge.
Yeah, in fact, we used you, last week or week before?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't remember. But
And I was taught by my papa and them, it ain't how much you make, it's how much you owe. So, you know, my trucks are not brand new. I'm not going to pull up with a $100,000 bucket truck.
you've got a bigger crew now than you had.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's big. But
Who's the little guy that works with you for so long?
Worm.
Yeah.
So I met him, he was 15 years old at Cleveland High School, had a work-to-school program. And he got a speech impairment. So I was related with him very well.
Yeah.
They said, could he work with you? You pick him up at Cleveland, let him work with you, drop him back off that evening, and tell us how good he works. That's how he graduated high school. So my heart's always been in that area. And that's how he graduated and got his diploma. Work-to-school program.
But you're not, are you as active in the trees business as you were?
I'm pretty active. I'm still with all the phone calls goes through me. The pricings go through me. But going out there climbing a tree, no.
But you manage it, in other words, you're still managing.
I'm hands-on
Yeah.
big in that area, but yeah.
And the window tending, you don't have to deal with that so much.
Not
She
no more.
handles
I
that.
train back. It takes a year to learn how to tend a car. A year. That's doing it 5 days a week. That's how hard that is.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult.
Yeah, because you get a bubble or something, you got an issue.
A little hair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rough. But I started, mind you, before they had heat shrink and tent. So, you know, it's not so hard for me because I had to do it the old way.
Yeah.
Same thing with the tree service. I had to do things the old way. No dump trucks, no bucket trucks, no bobcats.
Yeah.
Now we have all that. This new generations, they won't work if they got to pick up a piece of wood. Where's the bobcat? You know? And that's what we kind of done to society. We spoiled them so bad, nobody wants to work. They just want the money.
Now, your place on Inman Street, is that Ronnie's Tree Service, right?
That is. Ronnie's Tree Service.
And you got Ronnie's Diner.
Ronnie's Diner's right out front. And that's another kind of advertisement piece. I don't really make no money there. But hey, we got good hamburgers, hot dogs, and funnel
Good
cakes.
Cokes. I know it's good Cokes.
And everybody will say this. Go over to Ronnie's Tree Service. They got Ronnie's Diner there. Boom, free
Yeah.
advertisement.
Right.
So that's the reason I got it out there. Plus, I like eating there.
Yeah.
So we had the best score, 99. We would have got 100, but there's a little rug that needed to be fixed. But we have good food there, very good food. And all my grandkids love it, you know.
Oh, yeah. It's a neat place.
Yeah.
Your daughter runs that, right?
Yeah.
But now, so the journey, take me through the journey to church. Is it hot in here to you?
No,
Okay.
I feel good.
If it does, let me know.
Yeah.
So tell me the journey there.
The journey is where I grew up, speech impairment, quit in 8th grade, 9th grade, 6 weeks in 9th grade. And I was still in church at this time, had a good pastor. And got my first girlfriend at 17 years old, the very first one. Mm-hmm. We started having difficulties, and everybody said, go talk to the pastor, go talk to the pastor. And I said, okay. I went and talked to him that evening and everything, but unfortunately, something didn't go right. He reached over and touched me in a place he shouldn't touch me.
Golly, of all the days.
I know, at my worst point.
At your worst point.
Yeah. So when I left, I said, I got to go. I said, God, there ain't no God. So for 13 years, you didn't want to cross my path, ever say anything to me about God or religion. I mean, I thought it was all fake, hypocrites, because I growed up there, you know. I had a lot of faith in that establishment. And that's happened to more people than just me, where the establishment has disappointed them.
Yeah.
So for 13 years, that's when I started fighting, got into bad man's, learned how to box. I was just going to build my name. I was going to be that somebody. People was going to recognize who I was. Got the gym, got the winter tent and tree service. I was at the top of my A game. Everybody knew who Ronnie Pearson was. And this one night at my office, I ended up going bankrupt a couple of times during that 13-year reign. Made all the money, but you can't manage your money good. Still never did no drugs, didn't smoke, didn't do any kind of alcohol or anything. I was just very careless with my money. Then about 30 years ago, I was in my office, and I was sitting there, and I thought, you know what?
Was it late at night?
Yeah, late night. Yeah. And it's had one of them evangelists on TV back then. He was talking. He had a speech impairment too. Mm-hmm. And I wish I could remember his name. He came to the church. I finally got to meet him. But I was going to end it. So I pulled out my gun. I sat there and I pulled it, stuck it to my head. It was going to be the done deal.
But tell me what's going through your mind. What's going wrong at that time? Yeah.
At that time, you've done everything. You've said everything. You got everything you ever wanted in life, but you're still not happy. But
were you having financial trouble then?
Not really. Just wasn't happy. Just was not happy in who I was. You know, I see me for who I was. I was a nobody. No matter if I had all that, I had this big picture. Everybody think, oh, not Ronnie. That's Ronnie. That's Ronnie. But I wasn't who I really was. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I started living that way. I started the fights. I started the straining.
But I'm talking about this night when you say, I'm going to end it here. What's going on right then?
Right then is you're just lonely. You think you're all alone. You got people all around you. You got people that knows you. People was talking to me and didn't have a clue I was going to do it. They all finally left the gym. You know, I was sitting in there by myself. I said, I don't want to live this way. I don't want to do it no more. You felt like you're the only one in the world. And that's what Satan does. You know, when these big old lions out there, you see it on TV all the time, they try to get that one weakest one off by itself, and that's who they grab. And I was getting weak, and the devil grabbed me on that night. He had me pretty good. I didn't like who I was. That's just all it is to it. All right, if you don't have peace, you don't like what you see in that mirror, you got issues. You need to find out what
So there was some other stuff going on there that was making that a bad day?
Just everything. Your whole life. That's what it all comes down to. You really thought if I get to this point in life, I would have peace. Mm-hmm. It don't show up. You get to this point, I want peace. It don't show up. I've got good friends to this day. That's, man, if I can just get to this level, they got there, plus way more. They're the most miserable people they are. They got all the money they need, but they're so miserable because they don't have that peace. In which you go back to the Word of God, it tells you I can't give you what the world offers you, but I can give you what it cannot. That's peace. And that's all I wanted, Dee. I wanted to be able to lay down at night and sleep. But at nighttime, I couldn't sleep. Mine just rolled on and on and on. I just couldn't sleep. And I was tired of it. I was just tired of living. Just hated it. It's just, I was a fake. I was not who I portrayed to be. And I knew that. Mm-hmm. That's not who I was. So, I picked up that gun. I looked up. I said, God, if you're still up there, have mercy on me. And I cocked it back, and all of a sudden I felt.
What about the preacher?
Preacher?
The preacher that was on TV.
Oh,
You said you said he was.
Man, everybody knows him. He has this.
But I mean, did you cock the gun?
He wasn't on that night.
Okay.
Nobody was on that night.
So you're going back to
Total silence.
Okay.
Sat there in total silence.
But what he was saying the other night sort of started bringing you to the points.
Yeah, he had a bad speech impairment. I think it's Ron or something like that. He said, "What is your problem?" I had nail palsy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's a worldwide evangelist. Mm-hmm. And like I say, he came to Graceway, and I actually got to meet him. Mm-hmm. And he said, "What is your problem?" He said, "I served God all my life." I had a real bad speech impairment. Yeah. But I just couldn't do it. I know that something was inside of me just wasn't right. And that's what everybody searched for. Even the wealthiest, that's why millionaires commit suicide. Mm-hmm. There's an emptiness in there.
Good-looking people.
Yeah, you never thought nothing.
Yeah.
Man, if I was them, I'll buy me another car, I'll be happy. Mm-hmm. That's not what gives you happiness. Mm-hmm. It's the person on the inside of you. Who are you really on the inside? Everybody knows you by Dee Burris. You're the contractor, you got it all together, but who are you really? Only you are the one that knows that. Mm-hmm. And you can be sitting among all your friends at this table interviewing, they don't have a clue what's going on inside.
They think they might, but
they don't.
Yeah.
Nobody does, but God only.
Now you cocked the gun back.
Cocked it back. I remember just like it was yesterday.
Did you go?
Oh, I had it up there.
Was you going to go?
No, I was going to go on the side. And it didn't really matter however I went, but I was going to put it on the side, 357 Magnum. Mm-hmm. And I looked up, I said, God, if you're up there, have mercy on me. And this is the presence. I just started crying, weeping and everything. I thought, man, is that you really, God? Is that you? It was a Saturday night. So that next Sunday morning, I put the gun down, I prayed, and I said, I'll go back to church. Went back to the same church. That happened as a different pastor. Mm-hmm. Went right back, and that's 30 years ago, and I've never missed a service since in 30 years. And I didn't have no clue I ended up being where I'm at today. Mm-hmm. I just knew that was the direction I needed to go. And I had long hair back then. My hair went all the way down below my tail end. Real long hair. But I went to church, served God, and they was pretty harsh about the long hair a bit, So
About how old were you then?
I cut my hair off when I was 45, so it was probably about 6 years prior to that. So my late 30s and early 40s, right in that area, right in there.
So that's when you said,
Yeah,
I'm going to go back to living the way I was raised?
Yes.
Sort of?
Yes. And that's why the Bible says, train the child up in the way it should go.
Till they're
When
set.
they grow old, they won't depart from it. If I was not brought up and shown a way, I wouldn't know how to go back. Kids nowadays don't have that. They don't have that. I have a whole group of people at our church. They're in their 40s and 50s. They've never been to church. They didn't know where to go back to. Mm-hmm. Churches are not what it used to be, by no means.
Church to me has always been a comfort zone.
Oh, yeah. It's more of a money racketeering is what it is. Mm-hmm. I've been behind the scenes a lot of these churches.
Yeah.
You let a pastor preach a year without a paycheck, you won't have a pastor.
Yeah.
I've done it for 18 years. I will never take money. My papa always preached against that. It's when you start making money off that word of God, you're on the wrong ship.
Hey, they even pay the song leaders.
Oh, it's unreal. 6-figure pastors, the richest people around here are pastors. They got airports in their backyard, airplanes. Oh, we have to have that to go ministry. You got YouTube.
Yeah.
Do it on YouTube live.
But did you say you had, are you on TV?
Yeah, on Chattanooga Fox every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. We come on Chattanooga Fox.
Can you tell how many's watching?
Not on that, I can't. I also have a YouTube Live, which I stumbled across that way before the pandemic, thank God. I had several family members in Florida. That's where most of my family lives. And they said, we'd like to be able to see it. So I thought, well, YouTube Live would be a way to do it. So I said, we got YouTube Live. Then the pandemic hit. I was way ahead of schedule then.
Yeah.
Because we never shut down for the pandemic. Matter of fact, during the pandemic, I preached 7 days a week. I let it rip. I go over every night, 7 p.m. You can tune in or you can show up. I didn't care. I just hammer down through it.
I think I remember when you were doing that. That's when we had that wall fall in Chattanooga.
Yep, that is.
And I think I think you came down there after your service.
Yep.
Was that right?
That's true. That's true. Church first, work secondary. So, but it's been a very good trip. But when I went back to that other church with long hair, how Graceway Chapel got birthed, the pastor got voted out there, and they was looking for a pastor. At this time, I was preaching, no pastoring whatsoever, or you could say speaking at other churches with my long hair. So this church I was attending said, will you maybe preach for us till we find a pastor? So I would fill in when they didn't have nobody preaching. Then I finally found a pastor, introduced him to the church. We elected him. And a year later, they came to me and said, if I didn't cut my hair, they was going to serve me with a no trespassing warrant. You know what I did?
What?
The band you had on your show here, Robert Thompson, he went with me to church.
Is that right?
I called him, he's my good friend, as well as my
Yeah.
attorney. I said, look, man, they're going to serve me with a no trespassing warrant at this church if I don't cut my hair. He said, that's a ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So we went over there. It was a men's meeting that night, and they kept on and on and on about it. I said, then do this. Because all my kids was little then. I wanted them to stay in church. I had a lot of family, probably about 30 people was my friends was going there. I built it up, everything. I said, take my membership away. I'll come as a visitor. No, he said, you're like a cut on a hen. Until we get rid of you, it won't heal. That's pretty devastating.
Yeah, I bet.
That's my second blow I'm fixing to take since I've been back in the church. And Robert said, look, he said, what he's asking you is for forgiveness like the Bible talks about. They said, no, we need him gone. We just want him gone. And Robert said, look, buddy, he said, I'll just get out of here if I was you. And I said, okay, you know. And I told him this, and this is very true. I said, my daddy is sitting here, and he was. I said, I asked my daddy not to say nothing. He respected me and kept his mouth shut. I said, I told all the men, as a men's meeting, I said, every one of y'all go home tonight and pray and thank God that I'm in church. Because if it was my son, y'all did this too, I said, I took a baseball bat and beat y'all's eyeballs out with it. Just be honest with y'all. I said, but I'm going to leave. You know what they said?
What?
Well, could you let the people know we didn't run you off? You know, that's a big pill to swallow.
Yeah.
And I thought about it. I said, I'll do that. So the next following Sunday morning, I stood up there behind the pulpit. I said, church, there's people here that don't want me here, and there's people here that wants me here. I said, but both of my boys are sitting on the front pew. And if one of them says, Daddy, which one you love most? I said, I wouldn't pick because I love you the same. I said, I love you all the same here. I said, I walked in this church 7 years ago with grace. I said, I'll walk out with grace too. I said, may God be with you. And I walked out, and it was the last time I ever went there. So after that journey, I went to a different church every Sunday morning for 10 months. I just went into church somewhere to get a good roundabout what is missing in church. There's a lot missing, a whole lot. And I finally got connected with this other church called Trinity Chapel. Started serving there, Ron Bishop, which, you know, he passed. And I stayed there about 7 years, and God kept laying on me, open up a church, open up the church. I thought, how is that possible? In this time, there was a church on every corner, everywhere. So one day I was cutting trees and had a tree call over here on 14th Street about a bad tree. I pulled up behind this old church, and somebody knocked the window out and the blind was on fire. And my guys put it out. We called the cops. And law came over and nobody knew who owned the church. And a year later, when that was pressed on me to open up a church, I remember that church. It was empty. So I went back over, tried to find who owned it, and sure enough, there's two preachers in there giving away presents. And they said that North Cleveland Church of God owned it at that time. They was just using it for a storage place. They knew who I was. They said, would you like a rent or a lease? I said, yeah, I'd like to buy it. So they gave me a price on it. And then Lee College walked over, and they wanted it. Then they seen the dollar signs.
Right.
And this was on December. It was in December, about this time, actually, like that 18 years ago.
Yeah.
They said, well, only way we can sell it to you if you can have it closed before the 1st. You know, buying property, it takes longer than that, do title searches and all that. I said, okay, no problem. I shook their hands. I thought, Lord, you better help me out in this one. So
Was it a lot?
Was it a lot? $120,000.
That was a pretty good bid to come up with in a few weeks. Yeah.
A whole lot. So I said, Lord, I said, if it's your will, it'll be done. I had a good friend, I won't mention his name, very good friend. We both know him very well. He said, hey, can you move a doll house for me? I had to roll back for his children. He wanted a little doll house moved. I said, sure, I moved it. He said, hey, can you move a washer and dryer? I moved it, about half depressed over the situation. We sat down in his office and said, how things been going? He knew I was going to build a new church. That was my plan. I told him about the situation and everything. And I got ready to leave. He said, hey, he said, come here. He handed me a check for $120,000. He said, pay him. He said, when your banker gets back, he said, you can take care of it. So it worked out. And here we are 18 years
So you got him paid
later.
back in short order?
Yeah, we got him paid back since my banker came back in, did the title search and everything.
Yeah.
So it was just meant to be. It worked out good. Worked out really good.
Boy, isn't it funny? Is it a coincidence that you ran into him, that he needed a dollhouse moved, or is that God?
Well, I'm very careful in that area because this is what gets most people out of church. I just saw on the news, you might have seen it, where I think it's a couple of weeks ago or something, this daddy let his 4-year-old child out the back door. They had a swimming pool out there. And the 4-year-old fell in the swimming pool. And the daddy just sat there and watched him. And it struggled and struggled. Finally, the little boy died. He drowned.
Golly.
I mean, daddy just sat there. The Ring camera caught it on next door. On the reason they found out what happened. So after about 4 hours, he finally reached over and pulled a little boy out and called 911. Said he found him that way. Now, how do you feel about a person that let a little child do that?
I don't want to tell you. No, it's terrible.
I mean,
Terrible.
It's terrible.
Terrible.
Do you know that God did nothing about it either? But yet
true.
God paid somebody's light bill this week. God paid somebody's flat tire. Now, that story wasn't true.
Now, how do we?
That story wasn't true.
Well,
I
it may
use
be somewhere true.
It may be.
Similar.
I have somebody at my church. She lost both her children, 22 and 21, in a car accident. I mean, and we prayed hard. The daughter lived 2 weeks after the car accident. The boy got killed instantly. So here she is in my church, lost both her children, praying for one child to live but dies. Then you got another person standing up next to you in church. I just want to thank God he paid my electric bill. What kind of nonsense is that? I'm not that type of preacher.
It's hard to unravel. How do you see that?
It's very simple. You take God out of it, and you can't hear preachers tell you that because it disturbs you so much. Take God out of it, you can understand things in life. Things happen, and evil does walk the face of this earth. But God's got a plan. It was a reason. It's your time to go. That's not even in the Bible. People say that all the time. There's a day you're going to die. There's a day we're going to die. But because you got here drinking and driving was not meant to be. So a lot of it dismisses responsibility from us.
Gives us a way to get it off our conscience, maybe?
Lord forbid we take responsibility of our own ignorance. You know, just like the drugs and the alcohol. That one, I had 80 people at church. You can look this one up on YouTube. It says, turn your radio on. I said, taking drugs and drinking don't hurt nobody but the person that takes it. Am I right or wrong? 80 people said, wrong, Pastor. I mean, it's out loud.
Yeah.
I said, what y'all trying to tell me, a person that drinks and take drugs, I'm going to tell you again, don't hurt nobody other than themselves. Wrong, Pastor. They pushed back on me. And everybody said, well, this drunk driver, it destroyed my kid's life. He crossed their lives and everything. I never took a drop of alcohol in my life. What was my excuse? Other than the evil. Guns don't kill people. People kills people. It's the evilness inside of them that causes that. We want to blame the drugs. We want to blame the alcohol on everything, so we don't take no responsibility. And we got as far as calling it this, alcohol is a disease. That's what they say. Anything you can stop sticking in your mouth is not a disease. Cancer that you can't get no help for is a disease. And we pollute that area so much, it takes all responsibility away. It's the evilness inside. You can ban every gun law on the planet. They're going to run over you with your car. Ban the cars. They're going to kill you with your hands. Ban our hands. Where does it ever stop? It stops when they give their hearts over to God. The school shootings will stop. When you bring God back where he's supposed to be, it brings peace in your life. You want to love people and not kill them. But we ain't going to address them issues. We're just going to talk about all the other issues and all the excuses we have other than it's your own ignorance that caused all that.
How are they going to sell religion if they can't claim you're getting benefits financially or?
Yeah, religion's never meant to be sold. That's the first problem. And we try to sell it all the time. And I mean, who wouldn't serve God if it's going to be good? I just preached this morning. You want a better road? There's not a better road. We all suffer. Atheists, they go through the same heart attacks that we do. They don't pray. They come out of the hospital just fine too, some of them, and some of them don't. Same as Christians. But we throw God in it, in everything. Now we got this warped thing about God. I'm just glad he flattened my tire. He saved my life. But you got somebody over here with cancer dying. What, God won't heal them? You know, if you want to do away with miracles, do away with all the pastors' paychecks, there won't be no more miracles.
No.
Because they'll tell you anything to get that dollar bill. So it's just bad. I'm bad on religion. That's why Graceway Chapel was formed. I got sick of hearing all the lies and the benefit that they do just to pad their pockets. And I was behind the scenes way before I opened up Graceway Chapel. Them preachers, them churches, they are wealthy. And the people sat there struggling paying light bill. Lord forbid they take some of that money.
And they'll have somebody send them $5, $10 that really needs to send help their kids with their car
crazy.
payment.
Or they got to build another big old sanctuary out here, $4 or $5 million.
Oh, yeah.
Help the people.
Yeah.
Help. No, they won't do that. No, we need you to give. We need you to give. God's not broke. I don't know if anybody ever understood that. I've never seen a paycheck God sign yet.
A lot of times at the end they'll say, it'll be some poignant preacher, and at the end he'll say, I'd like for you to send your donations to this address, et cetera, right?
Yeah. And again, you know, most of these other churches, you see, they have if you look me up, you never hear Pastor Ronnie Pearson Ministries. Because that had to be a separate entity.
Almost nobody knows it. Everybody knows you as Ronnie's Tree
Yeah.
Service, you own the Tinning Company, and your daughter has the diner, and we assume you own it.
Yeah. And
That's Ronnie.
And if you look up on the menu to look up Graceway Chapel, you look up Graceway Chapel. But if you look at these big high-dollar pastors out here, their church is a different name in their ministry. And they do that because they can funnel that money to them personally. It's just another gimmick. I know how the behind the scenes work.
What do you say to somebody that says, I don't believe in the Bible?
It's your choice. You don't have to. But, you know, again, the Bible was written over 2,000 years ago, and what's in there today seems to be true. How can you dispute that? You don't have to believe it. Who cares what the Bible is? I tell everybody all the time, burn your Bible. Burn it. Get your heart right with God and buy you one that'll work for you. But everybody wants that Bible to work without having their heart right with God. It's no good. You can pick a Bible apart easily.
The Bible, to me, it explains it all better than anything else.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? It makes sense of it to me. It's the only thing that makes sense. And it's a stretch at times.
100%.
Because you think,
And that's what it says, study to show yourself proven to God, not to men.
yeah.
And the one verse in there I always stick to, for a man who knows something knows nothing. I love that. And it's so true. We will never know it all. We won't, but we think we do. But in the end, in the very end, we're all going to the same place. I tell people all the time, you should take dirt baths. They say, why? I say, get used to the dirt, because that's where we're going. That's where we're headed. I just want to make sure I get there the best way I can.
You know what else is odd to me? How many billions of people have existed,
Yes,
and how many two faces look the same?
I know it.
Like none?
Yeah.
I guess there's some twins.
Thumbprints.
But yeah, thumbprints.
Yeah, it's great. It's very unique, and there ain't no.
I mean,
God.
they get
There ain't
all
no
that
God.
different variations right here.
Yeah.
That they can print up.
Now they
can
went
pick,
a little further. DNA.
but from the
unreal.
thumbprint, from just an ink blot,
Yep.
there's 700 billion different ones.
Many, many of them. Many of them. But there's only one Jesus thumbprint. What's in heaven that man made? The scars on Jesus' hands.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think? Would you say you're religious? See, I'm Church of Christ.
Right.
I go up, every week. You don't see the big difference between. Do you see a big difference between the Church of Christ and the Baptists and the Methodists, or do you think that it's just believing and trying to follow?
Well, how they all got split off, anyways, because one person believed a certain way. So they split. One person believed a certain way. They split. like I say, my great-grandpa was a Church of God preacher. My papa was a Baptist preacher. I grew up Baptist. When I opened up Graceway Chapel, I opened up an interdenomination. We don't have bylaws. We don't have anything like that. Mm-hmm. If it's in the Bible, we believe it. We don't dispute it. How you want to worship, how you want. We got Church of Christ at my church, Catholics at my church, Church of God at my church. We let everybody just believe how they need to believe because we're all on different levels in that area anyway.
Sure. And some people have a different, some people just see things differently.
100%. Because again,
just see it differently.
And that's the way God created it to be. Because slowly as we grow, we'll see things differently next year. I'm sure both of us see things differently next year.
Well, that's the truth.
And I always will. Because again, layer after layer is peeled off. The closer you get, the more you can see. It's hard to see a picture far off. If you get too close, you can't tell what it is.
Look at all the different ways your belief has evolved since you were 6.
Unreal.
I mean,
unreal. And see, I had that certain belief until things went wrong in my life. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, you know what? Something ain't right. Something is not right. I fasted 7 days. I didn't drink water. I didn't do nothing. 7 days. Total fast. Almost died. Kidneys almost shut down. Mm-hmm. I said, that don't work. I prayed so long once, I couldn't even stand up and walk. My legs were so bad off being on the side of the bed. Mm-hmm. I drugged myself just to get my legs function again. Mm-hmm. That didn't work. So I started getting in that Bible. I thought, you know what? I'm going to find out what does work. And I tell you what I found. Loving and taking care of people always will work. People appreciate you. They respect you for that. And most of the time, they turn back and help you again. But all this other stuff that we're trying to make work, touch the 3 people and scream this.
Yeah.
And, man, that's just nonsense. That's just making more money for whoever's trying to teach you that. Because like I said, I'm totally against, it irks me, because I got people in my church that has cancer. I got people in my church that's lost their children. I don't like when somebody stands up, God paid my electric bill, God paid my rent. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm against that. Keep it spiritual. Keep it spiritual. Take God out of it. And it's hard for a Christian to do that.
It's hard. We've been almost conditioned to keep him in it.
God's in everything. God's in everything. Mm-hmm. If you take him out of it, you can see it for what it is, then put God back into it. There's like cats. Mm-hmm. Persian cats, Siamese cats, dog, German shepherds, collies. They're just a cat or a dog. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Vehicles, people spend a fortune on a vehicle. Mm-hmm. But in the bottom line, it's 4 tires and a steering wheel, point A to point B. It's a vehicle.
That's all it is.
And that's how the Bible works. It's so simple. Just take care of each other, love each other. No matter if they do you wrong, it's okay. Just move on down the road and don't have no resentment or you go down the wrong street again. It works very well that way.
Let me ask you this. Tell me about the diner. That just, to me, is so interesting.
This is how
I really enjoy it.
I'm going to tell you how it worked. I always wanted one. Uh-huh. And just something I thought would be pretty cool to have. So I'm out cutting trees one day, and I was involved in this tree cutting. And the man says, anybody wants to buy a diner? And I said, y'all playing a joke on me? Because I just mentioned this a couple of weeks before.
Yeah.
He said, I've got one. I said, really? And he wanted some more trees.
Was it in Cleveland?
Yes. He said, if you finish cutting these trees, he said, I'll trade out in that diner. I said, that'd be good.
Yeah.
So I finished the tree job and got this diner. We pulled it over to the tree shop. So me and my worker was in there cleaning it up. Mm-hmm. I said, let's make us a hamburger. So I had a hamburger cooking. Mm-hmm. Somebody pulled up to the window and said, how much is your hamburgers? And I said, I'll make you one for free. I gave him one. Yeah. We kept cleaning. Somebody else pulled up. Mm-hmm. How much is your food here? Mm-hmm. I said, I'll give you one. Mm-hmm. And that day, 10 people showed up. I said, John, this might work. Mm-hmm. I said, let's just open up right here. And that's where it's been ever since.
You got the picnic tables out there?
Yeah. And we just left it there. I originally got it so when we have a dinner at the church, because the church is so small, I was going to pull it over there and cook everything from there. I thought that'd be a pretty neat thing to do.
Was that did you make the menu, or is that?
Yes, I made the menu on it. I made all the foods that I wanted, plus more.
What? Now, you don't serve real Coke. It's different, right?
Yeah.
What's it called?
It ain't a Sam's Coke.
It's like a cola or something.
It's the old 50s colas.
Yeah.
They're good, and they're cheap.
They are cheap. It's it's cheap.
But people love our funnel cakes or
Fries. Fries are good.
yeah, we'll use them crinkle fries.
Would you say are you open 5 days a week?
Yeah, Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturdays.
Will you serve 50 people a day?
Oh yeah, easily. 50 comes through because we got all them apartments.
Yeah.
And again, I lose money on that place. Every month I'm in a hole. But I could raise my prices.
What do you mean, like a 1,500 or 5,000?
I think they've added it up. It's kind of disturbing. Sometimes 2,500 a month, negative 1,500. But there's so many people. I've got 600 apartments in front of me, 600 behind me. They're the government apartments. That's all they eat there. I mean, you can get a hamburger, Coke, and French fry for $6. That's including tax. And these ain't cheap hamburgers. I buy the best meats, because I eat from there.
The buns are real fresh.
It's all good. It's all good. And, it's kind of part of my personal ministry that I do. I feel
When you say you lose 1,500, 2,000, is that when you do their depreciation and all that? Is that what
That's real money.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why I have to take $1,500
Because you
for my
can turn
tree
that
service.
into $4,000 for that.
Yeah. And I have to pay to keep it open. But, it all works out in the end of the year. It all kind of pans out with everything. But
Well, it's
I
a neat thing. It's a really neat thing. And you just can't. Do you have it hooked to sewer or is it self-contained?
It's self-contained. Yeah.
So you don't have to. So you have to empty out the.
Yeah, my workers do, the tree guys. They always say, get rid of that diner.
So they do it like what, every evening or something?
Yeah, every morning they come in, they change their grease. We use good, fresh grease.
Yeah.
Like I said, our score over there is 99. Most of the time it's 100. But we got a 99 because the edge of the rug was up. But, health score is a big deal in these things.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very particular about this little diner out there because, again, all my grandkids, my kids eat it. My daddy eats from there. And, and to me, in the end, if I'm dead and gone, my grandkids all grown, they said, remember Papa, that old diner?
Yeah.
Memories is what this life is all about.
That's
and
it.
we got away from that. We got away from that because, again, we think we're somebody. Build some memories in this life. I have wonderful memories of my childhood growing up, but then they kind of vanish away after a while.
Have you ever noticed you cannot buy a good memory?
No.
Now, I guess somebody could say, yeah, I bought this car and I had a good memory. But what I'm talking about is you can plan a trip and on the way to the trip you'll have a flat tire. And 10 years later, you really just remember the flat tire incident and how it was funny that you did this or did that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, good memories don't have to be just pleasure.
Well, now the memories are like this. Stop, okay?
Yeah.
It's a social world memory. Cut all that trash off, take a vacation with your family, and make good memories. You don't have to be perfect. Everybody's looking for that perfect shot, that perfect post. And if it ain't perfect, it ain't no good. Don't miss the bet up. We got to get a picture of this. Go and relax.
Oh,
Have
yeah.
some good memories.
They'll straighten up the bed before they take a picture.
It drove me nuts when that
Yeah.
started happening. I'm
Yeah.
like, what are y'all doing,
Yeah.
Because I've never been a big social media fan anyway.
Right.
Well, number one reason, I can't spell. You know how hard it is on them little flip
Oh, yeah.
phones? I just
We don't
finally
auto-
learned how T9 worked, and they got rid of it.
Oh, yeah.
Now they got that voice. They say you can speak to it.
Oh, that's don't I do it exactly
My
right.
language don't speak clear enough. It's always gobbled up.
Yeah, and I'll say the wrong thing,
Yeah.
and I don't proofread it, because if you can proofread it, you might as well typed it.
100%.
I'm driving anyway.
100%. But in the end, I always say, I think my number one business is Graceway Chapel. Is getting people to a better place in life that they can help other people around you. Then secondary is that tree service, Ronnie's tree service, Ronnie's window tinting, and all that. And still treat people good in that area. Treat them good. It's unreal how people open up business and it's about that $1 bill. They can't take a loss. They can't take a loss. They're not going to lose anything. Gain that customer. Enjoy life. That's the main thing, is enjoy life. Have fun, whatever you're doing. If it ain't fun, change it. Do something, because you're going to grow old and die.
Do you get a lot of
misery?
Do you get tired of the paperwork from all your businesses, or have you had it so long that you sort of got it streamlined?
I have never got tired of paperwork because I've never done it. My
do-
oldest daughter takes care of that. She's very tired of it. But I've always had my kids always been part of my businesses. So my oldest daughter, Chastity, she does all the paperwork behind the scenes, keeps all that running good. I'm mostly just out there pricing trees or keeping machinery running, that nature.
Doing the fun stuff. Or
Yeah,
what
my
we-
first accountant I ever hired is back in the 80s and still have her, named Shirley. She might not want me to say that.
Shirley, down at Bradley Bookkeeping.
You
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
She would testify to this. I had to come to her, and I brought her 2 garbage bags. She'd never forget that. They were packed plumb full. And we developed a good relationship. I just talked to her not too long ago. So that's who's been my accountant ever since.
She does one of those partnerships returns I got. She keeps it real simple, doesn't she?
Yeah, that's what I like about her.
She's still in the same spot. I don't take
Yeah,
it
she
down
does
to
it
her.
out of her house now.
Oh, okay.
It's over on 32nd
Does Bradley
Street.
Bookkeeping still exist?
No, he passed away.
is that
many,
right?
many years ago. And that's kind of how that faded away.
That's how long it's been since I've been down there.
Yeah,
a long time.
They've been gone. They've been gone a long time ago.
Bookkeeping's a real, to me, it just doesn't, my mind doesn't do well with that stuff.
No. I couldn't if I wanted to. I just couldn't do it. I don't know if I ever want to, but I know I can't. You got to know your numbers. You got to know a lot behind that. You got to know how to at least spell something.
Yeah.
So I just knew that I had enough people around me that knew how to spell, had a good education. It don't embarrass me. I say, even at church, I'm reading through the Bible. Some words I come to, I said, no, well, church, what does that say? They'll scream it. They don't know it. I'm doing that for that reason. I said, you got that right. Now move on to the next word. I've learned how to overcome my challenges.
Did you, so you didn't have a lisp. It was just leaving off the first.
First part of every word. Like I say, no was bow, because you hear no, the only thing I heard was bow.
Oh, yeah.
So it's that first part. I remember the last 3 words I learned, and it was, that the speech and hearing place was at the bottom of a bank in Cleveland up here in town. It's downstairs. And the last,
On the main level or downstairs?
downstairs,
Oh,
a
Lord.
little bitty hole. I went there every day.
Yeah.
And the last 3 words I learned, and the last time I ever went, was squirrel, world, and girl. Girl. I got all my girls out there. But them 3 kind of went together.
My youngest had a problem with that, and he went to a speech class for, oh Lord, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years. And finally, we saw her out in town one time, and I said, "Who's that, Cole?" And he said, "That's my peach teacher." I thought, well, she ain't helping. 6 years, and he couldn't even say speech.
Always check the hearing. Yeah. Hearing is what it's all about. If you can't hear it,
He got over
can't
all
say
of
it.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember how that all worked out. Do you what's a normal Monday look like for you? Do you go in and you meet your tree people? They empty out the
grease.
the grease, or
Monday.
Or how do you deal with that and the window tinting? I assume she does her own thing.
To a certain degree, I still got to kind of fill in, because some cars are very difficult. And only because of my old school of doing things, I'm able to do it. Some of these new tent shops around here still can't do them. They won't do certain cars.
So she'll call you when there's an oddity.
Yeah, when there's something major,
yeah.
I said, okay, this is
Yeah.
how we can do
Yeah.
it. Before, now everything's done in one piece, like one piece back glass. That used to be done in strips. Well, some of these cars today still can't be done in one piece, but I can. But what they don't know, I might not should share this, at a little real defosser line, I'm able to split it and cut it right on it. It looks like it's one of them lines, and I put it in layers. You never know it. That's one of the old school tricks we learned way back there. But there's no such thing as a normal Monday. Mondays are awful.
How time does it start?
9 a.m. I've never started early. 9 a.m. is my start
I'm not
time.
I don't mind getting up early. I just don't want to
Yeah.
start thinking too hard.
9 o'clock, it all begins. Everybody's at the office at 9. They get everything rolling, everything. I normally show up about 11. Then I say, okay, what's going on? They tell me all the problems they had, then I start resolving them out through the day. and just handle it that way, one day at a time.
So you already know what trees they're going to Monday?
We try our best to, but a lot of things change over the weekend.
Sure.
Because storms or anything could go wrong, and of course, the most dangerous ones on houses, we do first.
So do you call in or do you let them handle that?
I do it. Every phone call from the tent shop to the tree service, everything runs through me personally. And that way I keep a handle on what's going on. If you call me up and say, hey, how much would it cost me to get my windows tinted? I say, hang on one second, I'll transfer you. I'll transfer you down there. Or I'll transfer you to a tree service.
So what time does the phone start ringing on a regular morning?
7 a.m., sometimes before. Starts ringing. And I don't mind answering it because it keeps me in a loop what's going on. And I can keep up kind of what's out there. I don't like, because once I wasn't answering the phones, that was a little bit disturbing.
Yeah, you almost...
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll not tell me because they don't want me to get upset, and I'll start seeing signs of it. I saw something last week. I thought, boy, I bet they really. I can see now why they kept standing over here. I wonder why they're standing in one spot and then.
I heard you never get upset.
Oh yeah, I get upset.
You're the calm person.
No. Let me ask you this: how many times do you think to yourself, if I hadn't had that speech impairment, I might have been a heart doctor?
100%. I think about that a lot. Now, thank God all the time I did have that. It used to, that was a crutch for me, but I really enjoy where I'm at in life right now. I'm in a good spot, and for 30 years, I'm able to say to every year, that year was better than last year. I've never went downhill in 30 years. Every year's been better and better and better. I'm just in a real good spot of having peace with everything. Don't really care about much of anything. I'm enjoying my life just the way it is. And if I didn't have a speech impairment, it'd been so easily, I'd be one of them puff up guys. You know, I had to have, I'm Mr. So-and-so. I don't want the name. Don't want the name. A lot of people don't even know I have a tree service or a winter tent business that goes to my church. I never mention it. I don't say nothing about that. Business and church is totally separate, just like state and church should be separate. I keep all that separate. I don't try to promote nothing like that. And I tell people, if I'm up on top of the tree cutting a tree, you're down there praying, I'm going to fire you. There's a time you can pray.
Yeah.
You can go to church and pray. And I'm top of that tree. You're going to help me out, you know. I'm very strict about things like that.
And I don't think God would have a problem with that.
No. There's a time, it's like the Bible says, there's a time to plant, there's a time to pluck. There's a time to pray, and there's a time to not to pray. And here late, there's a time not to pray. We all need to put legs on our prayers and get it done. You know, the majority of the thing everybody prays about, they can fix it themselves. And they come to me all the time about that. I'm like, that's just ridiculous. Why ask God to do something that you can do yourself?
Well, sometimes it's real hard to get the things in a line.
It's very hard if you ain't going to a good church.
But can't you ask him then to help me work this out?
I think you should already know how to work it out. That's the problem. We're always asking but doing nothing about it. We all know before we even do it, it's wrong.
Well, let's take the Lord's Prayer, for instance.
Yeah.
As an example.
Is it talking about the one, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be their name?
Yeah.
See, that's really not the Lord's Prayer, but we can use that one.
Well, that's what he prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, right?
No, he told people how they should pray. His prayer was when he was going to the cross. Father, let this cup pass before me, but nevertheless, let it be your will. Now, that was original Jesus Christ's prayer.
Well, that's true. That's true. But that's
the disciples want to know how to pray.
They said, Lord, teach us how to pray, right?
Yeah.
And he said what?
He gave them the concept how they should pray.
Did he label it?
He didn't label it or anything.
He just said.
He said, this is the concept. I'm going to give you some roundabout like I would anybody. Hey, this is how I want you to cut the tree, okay? Now, how you do it,
well, people call it the Lord's Prayer, but so I don't know.
The true Lord's Prayer is not your will, but His.
That was what the Lord prayed.
That was His prayer.
But couldn't we say the Lord's Prayer is still the one that
We want
example
to.
is.
We want to,
Yeah.
but it's really not. But we still will. And as that religious part, it's hard to get it out of somebody once
And
they have
it really
it
doesn't
disturbs
matter.
you. It really doesn't matter
No.
to begin with. I say pray it all the time.
But-
if Hail Marys
Yeah.
work, have
Yeah.
all you want. But if it's not working, change it. Do something about it. And people just don't like that. They just don't like changes.
But if I couldn't go to bed at night and praying God to help me, that's all keeps me from
But what are you wanting Him to help you with? See, that's the problem.
everything.
Like everything. I mean,
Yeah, everything, man.
he don't want to build houses. He don't want to cut trees.
No, but I need to be profitable.
Well, he wants you to be profitable spiritual. He wants you to have meekness, kindness. He don't want you to be upset. He don't want you to be worrying, give no thought about tomorrow. That's where anxiety comes from. He can help you with all them things.
Do you know in the ancient world, anxiety was the word for anxiety was thought?
Yeah, 100%. The present time, you never have anxiety in. It's the things that happen or things that's fixing to happen.
You know, something just came to mind. If, as we said, the word anxiety was translated into the word thought, and then somebody says, hey, I'm going to sit down here and I'm going to read and study this irrelevant thing. You're almost saying, if we go by what the Bible said or the ancient times, we'd be saying, let me sit down here and have some anxiety over this.
100%. Because the Bible says to give no thought about tomorrow. Because tomorrow have enough evil of its own. It plainly tells you that. And it's titled in there in the King James, that's where anxiety comes from.
Where is it? It says, let me think. I'm thinking, wisdom creates anxiety.
I never read it. There's a possibility it might be in there, but one thing I have learned, there's more it's not in there that we think is in there. A lot more.
I've seen this one.
Yeah.
But I don't have the words right.
Yeah.
It says like, why become too wise? I can't remember what it says. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm thinking that it's saying the same thing about anxiety. Almost sort of like, just let me handle everything.
Yeah, I mean, what can we do about tomorrow? Absolutely nothing until we show up there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people thought they was going to show up and they didn't. Mm-hmm. So I don't really concern myself about Monday until I show up. And you can ask any people that's close to me, they said, Colbert, what are we going to do about Monday? They'll say, he's just going to tell you, wait till it shows up.
Yeah.
And we'll deal with it. We'll deal with it when it gets here. Because it stresses me out. If I was to think about this coming week, I'll get a little stressed.
So it's not that you don't get stressed, it's that you do get stressed that you don't do.
Stress. I'll be stressed out, arguing, complaining about things that's never even happened yet. And you know, and they say it all the time, take 10 things you worry about, 8 of them you couldn't do nothing about. And 2 of them, you know, it's going to happen anyway.
They say 80% of the people don't care about your problems and the other 20% are glad you have them.
I'm glad I got my problems.
Hey, remember here a while back I came picked you up and we went, I just drove by and saw you and I said, hey, jump in,
Bologna
we'll go down.
sandwich.
Went down to
Calvin's got the
Calvin.
best bologna sandwiches.
Well, they do, don't they?
They're good. They're good.
You
And
know-
see, I cherish that moment. I really do.
Oh,
You may not think nothing about that day, but it meant a lot to me.
I had something on my mind. I can't remember what it was. And I drove by. I even went past you and I turned around that parking lot and I came back. I said, you eat lunch? And you said no, and you jumped in the car and we got a bologna. You didn't eat nothing on your bologna sandwich.
I always like my food plain anyway.
You didn't even have mustard or ketchup on it.
Give me a plain or a fried bologna, I'm good all the way around. But that moment in life, I've told the people about that many times. It was enjoyable.
It really was.
And that's what I live for, them moments like that.
We couldn't have planned. If I'd have said, hey, meet me there, I'll pick you up, you'd have been late or I'd have been late.
And there's moments like that every day in our lives. We just pass them up all the time.
Boy, now that may be true.
It is true. I know. I like moments in life. That's what makes life all about. Just enjoy the day. Let's enjoy today. My guys get stressed out about our trees. They're, we do the biggest and the rough ones around. I said, look, guys, if we got to blow the house up, we got to bulldoze it down. We're going to cut this tree. Let's just do it one limb at a time. Everybody looks at overall picture. Look at overall picture in this 2024. You'll be the next one with a bullet through your head. That's why people does that. They see the great big picture. And the Bible says we look through the glass darkly. We don't see the big picture. So just sit back, enjoy this day. Like this moment here. Come over at 2 o'clock, talk with you. I was kind of excited about it. I thought, wow.
Well, I'm glad I was telling Alvin yesterday. I said, I got Ronnie Pearson coming tomorrow. I said, I'm so excited.
Yeah, man, Alvin goes.
He said, what are you going to talk about? I said, I have no idea. He said, you don't have any idea? I said, no, I had no idea.
We have a lot to talk about.
Let me ask you this. If you being an entrepreneur, you've got an entrepreneur spirit.
Yeah.
You evidently were born with that. What would you do today if you were 20 years old?
20 years old? Probably nothing more than I'm doing right now because I was doing it at 20. I mean, what I would have done differently was learn more about God, more about the Bible, in other words. I learned too much about the Bible from other people. That was my biggest mistakes. I listened to what their thoughts was, what they said, and the Bible was never meant to be read, and that's where most people get in trouble. When the Bible reads you, you've got it made. But when you read in that Bible, you'll never understand it. But when you look into the Word of God and it reads who you are, you've hit a home run.
But now it says the Bible is supposed to be the inspired Word of God.
Mm-hmm.
But you say it's not supposed to be read.
Yeah, if you read it like a book, you'll never understand it.
It doesn't flow like a book anyway.
Exactly, it ain't supposed to, because it's God's Word. He's actually speaking to you. And everybody say, I heard God, I heard God, I heard God. I'm leery about them kind of people.
I've never heard God. Have you?
Yeah, no. And I'm a pastor. You see people's faces over there. They come to me all the time. Hey, God spoke to me.
Yeah.
I said, until he speaks to me, I'm not too much concerned about it. He speaks to everybody through his word. So if you read a passage in the Bible and it moves you spiritually, you heard from God. And that's when the Bible reads who you are. And you can start learning from that and eating from that table like that. And you start growing more into his word. But I had so many people, they just want to read the Bible. And they're just, I preach from experience. I don't sit back, try to figure out what I'm going to preach on or messages.
What are you going to preach? What, like tonight, do you have a scripted?
The concept I'm probably going to preach about tonight is mind your own business.
But where did you come up with that?
It's just through the week. I preach on week experiences that I experienced.
Like this morning, was it different?
This morning was titled the good road. I think it is being on a good road.
So you had that this week. Some things happened that decided to put you on that.
Yeah, I thought I need to change direction. I need to get on a better path. And I started looking at my life. I thought, you know what? This is a good path I'm on. And I said, what makes it so bad? Well, it ain't working for me. Well, when I look into the Word of God, and that's how I match all this up, he said, we're going to suffer on this good road. You're going to suffer either road you take. Paul said, if I'm going to suffer, I'm going to suffer for the good. So we try to change our direction on our troubles and trials. But our troubles and trials are going to be either way you change it. They're always there. I'm sure you've had them. They're always going to be there. So maybe you're on the best road, especially if you're serving God going to church. That's a good road to be on.
Yeah, maybe we're not having to re-examine it. Maybe this is just life.
Thank you. That's exactly what I said this morning. This is how life works. I mean, and we're trying to change it. We don't like the way it works. And the Bible says that here's a good passage you can study on. Who can make straight what God made crooked? And we're always trying to straighten out the crooked.
We're always trying to straighten it up.
Who can make straight what
We're
God
always
made
trying to
crooked?
make bigger houses and bigger barns.
Always. And why? Why? I did. You should come see my garage. It's full of junk.
Oh, you'll see evidence of us trying to do the very same thing next week.
Yeah, 100%.
You ever go on vacations?
I used to. I need to do it again. I ain't been on one in a while.
Are you more of a beach or
100%.
no
mountains.
No.
Nothing cold.
You don't want to go see where where I've been. I went out to out west here a while back, and I noticed they were advertising for tours for the Donner Party Trail. You know, like where they had to, have cannibalism. I reckon it was up in the northern part of Nevada. I like to go on trips like that have some kind of a seeing where it happened sort of thing. Are you more of that, or are you more a beach towel and the sun?
The sun and the beach towel, which I did take your buddy Alvin Calhoun on a good trip. I said, Alvin, we're going to go to New York. I know Wayne Newton. He said, there's no way you know him. And Wayne, we met him in New York.
So you do know Wayne Newton?
Yeah. He flew me and my wife up
Well, he
there.
told me he knew Wayne Newton.
Yeah. I introduced
But
him
it
to
was
him.
you.
Yeah. He said there, he said, I'm starstruck.
Is that when he asked Wayne Newton to sing a song?
Yeah.
What was it Wayne Newton said?
I don't remember.
He said, I've done this. You don't need to tell me what songs to sing or something like that.
Something like that. It was a good trip. I enjoyed it.
Well, what'd y'all stay, like 5 days or 3?
I think it's about 3.
3 days is plenty in New York, isn't it?
Amen, brother. And, other than that, I wouldn't went. But I love Destin, Florida. See, my other half family is from Florida. They're commercial fishermen.
So Destin, Florida is what, 6.5-hour drive?
Yeah, somewhere right there. 435 miles from my front door to where I stay at.
But I used to stay in Sandestin. Is that real close to where your family
it's
is?
fairly close.
Um,
Well, mine's on down in the south. They're in Palmetto, Bradenton, Florida, Tampa, in that area.
I think that's like this side of Destin or something.
Yeah, it's on down in the lower part.
So, but the problem with Destin is it's got to be pretty much in the summer before it's real hot.
Yeah. I go there a lot in January.
What would be the temperature in January?
I've been down there before when it's in the 60s. I've been down there before when it's in the 70s and 80s. It just varies in that.
But it's just about 15 degrees hotter than here.
Destin reminds me of where Cleveland used to be. Kind of small, one straight street.
Yeah.
It kind of, that's the reason I like it.
Two good grocery stores, and that's it.
It's not a party town like Panama
No.
is. And I like deep sea fishing, so that's the reason I go there. And I got friends with the captain, and he introduced me to his wife that owns the condos down there, so I get hooked up there.
How'd you meet Wayne Newton?
Going to Las Vegas out there, I had my long hair, and he yelled at me. Well, everybody was screaming.
You mean you was at the concert?
Yeah. And that's how first time
Well,
I met
I
him.
don't even like his music.
No, I didn't either, but
But you
he's
went.
Wayne Newton.
Yeah.
Got to look at
I've
somebody.
heard the name. Yeah.
So he's hollering at me. He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Polk County, Tennessee." True story.
Yeah.
He said, "Hey," he said, "what do you do for a living?" I said, "I sell billy goats." He said, "Billy goat man." He said, "You know what a hoedown is?" I said, "I sure do." He played it, no. And he said, "Well, don't never say that here in Vegas. It costs you too much money." It's an off-color joke, I thought, Lord forgive us on that one.
Yeah.
So I go back out there again with some friends, Tony Webb. We know him.
Yeah.
I said, take me to his house. I was poking on his front door,
Yeah.
his little meter thing.
Yeah.
Tony said, stop. And somebody popped out on the other end. It was a security guard named Big John. And Big John was from up here around Gatlinburg. We got to know him really good. And that's kind of how the chain reaction worked. So it worked out pretty good.
Isn't that funny? I'd have never put you and Wayne Newton together.
I need to call him, come over to the church and speak.
You reckon you could get him to come here?
I probably could if I call him. But
Wonder how old he'd be now.
He's getting up there.
It'd have to be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think I looked it up the other day. I think he's up in the 70s now. He's up there.
But you didn't ever ask my question. If you were a 20-year-old man, what would you advise them to get into to make a living? Now, just
Today?
take you out of it. What would you foresee?
What, to get in today in 2024?
Yeah.
Probably a small paving company. We don't have none no more. It's either huge or none at all. Back in the day when I was growing up, you could get little driveways paved here and there. There's just nobody does it. The little guy's out. And there's a big demand for that.
Now, that little guy would have to charge more than that person would think. They'd think he's cheating them, right?
Most likely. I get told the same thing on my trees. Why are you so cheap for it? I said, well, I price it per day instead of by the job. Other tree companies goes out there, well, I'm going to charge this much for that tree, that much for that tree. I know I can do it in a day. I know what's going to cost me. So long as I'm going to make a profit, I'm going to do the job. So same thing, anything.
So you're saying if a person did that with a small asphalt equipment, then he could work
All
5
the
days a
time.
week and stay booked for a year.
All the time, seal coating or anything, because there's just no small ones around anymore.
You'd have to have how many employees?
They died off. The
4?
ones I've used back then is 4, maybe.
I used to use a guy. I've used Scott Bradley.
Yeah,
Yeah, he does okay. I like him.
He's good.
Fine. He does
But I'm
good.
talking about the one that's smaller than he is. The little country guys that used to be around.
Yeah, I remember I used to use a guy, and was his Mashburn?
Yeah, Mashburn was one of them.
Was that his name?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. Then there's another feller.
Boy, he'd do it cheap.
Yeah,
I mean,
And it's
if he
not
gave
that
you
expensive.
300, part of it was a tip.
yeah. And I almost got in that business. It or the fence business. You know, fence business is good. I've been in both businesses.
Yeah.
It's just I didn't have enough time. Now you can't find nobody to work.
That's another problem.
Major problem. Major problem. Because again, if they work, it costs them more to work than not to work. Because they lose their food stamps, they lose their check they get every month. They tell me this.
Is $22 the new 18?
Yeah, most likely.
It's unbelievable.
It is.
And they need more than that.
Yeah.
What else would you get in? Or would you say you're talking about existing profession that we just don't have no more?
Yeah, and it's what I did back then. Everybody wants to create that new one, and that's good. Why not look around and see what people are doing and capitalize on it in a smaller way? But don't go in a small business like I have and expect to get rich. Make a good living at it. But people start these small business and they want to be rich. And that's when they go broke every time.
That's when they get greedy and they start
Yes.
overcharging.
100%. I'm rarely ever get beat on any kind of prices, from the window tint to the trees, anything that I do, even our food truck. It's hard to beat my prices because I'm not there trying to get rich. I just want to make a good living, and that's good enough for me.
And let's face it, in those small businesses, you can't get rich.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It doesn't work.
It's not big enough. You got to be huge in order to go to that level. And it's going to cost you a rich amount of money trying to get to that level.
See, I build mostly, I stay under I build, I've got an unlimited license. So I've got the credentials to build as big as they want. But where I shine is anything under $2 million. I can handle the big job, and I don't have the big expensive back room that raises the cost up, and I can manage them. But I can only do, one a year.
But I'm sure you'll testify to this. The bigger they are, the more stressful they are.
The more stress. Yeah, you get on the big jobs,
Yeah.
the small jobs, they'll cry, and the big jobs, they'll sue you.
Yeah, 100%.
So which one you want?
Just whatever makes you feel good.
So do you think it's service industry, a service industry that you can make small?
Yeah, somebody today can open up an asphalt area or a seal coat area or a fence company and make a good living at it right now. Because I get them calls all the time. I used to be in both of them. And they know I used to be there, but there's not nobody there. Everybody needs a little driveway paved, would like to get it paved, but they can't pay $15,000, $20,000 for that.
No, they can pay $2,200.
Yeah, 22, 3,000, anywhere in that neighborhood. And there's hundreds of them people out there.
And they're not wanting it guaranteed for 40 years.
No.
They're just wanting it 4 years.
Yeah.
Get me
And
by.
if you try to get a small thing paid, you call one of these companies up. Hey, it'll be 6 months, it'll be a year from now. Why would they pull off a great big job, go do something for that?
No, they got to charge you for their day.
Yep. But nobody wants to get in a small business because everybody wants that big rich dollar.
That goes back to the beginning of our conversation. They want to be something.
Yep, 100%. Buy you just a little small dump truck and a little roller. I bought a little roller. It's $1,700. It rolls that. I did my own paving. That's how I knew there's a big demand for it.
I think that guy's name was George
George?
that did that small asphalt jobs. He'd patch a spot.
Yeah.
Or Hawk. Remember Hawk?
Hawk did my gym down there
Yeah.
years ago. $600.
You know where he
I
got
remember
that?
that.
You know where he got that name?
Where did you get that one?
Now I'm not positive about this, But I think it's because he would get a load of asphalt and he'd walk around looking up in the sky and he'd say, "It's getting ready to rain. Do you have anywhere where I can put this asphalt?"
Old Hawkeye.
That's what they claim. I don't know.
That's a good
Is he
selling
still
point.
alive?
I think he passed away.
I think he was a wrestler?
Yeah, he was a wrestler and everything. But yeah, he did the paving at my gym.
So any service industry that's like that.
Anything like that. There's hundreds of them out there. But you know what? People don't want to work. They don't want to do nothing with their hands no more.
I'm not so sure if they just really don't know how. It's just, people anymore, I don't know, do you think, how many people that under 20 could change their own oil?
I don't know, man. It's just pitiful.
It's been so long, I don't know if I could.
Yeah, I'll still do at times, but pull out a transmission, put a clutch in. I mean, nobody pulls motors and redo motors. They buy another car. You know, they don't care how much they have to pay a week, that weekly payment. That's all they care about.
What do you see, Ron? I'll ask you one more question. What do you see for the way out future for inventions and the new technology?
We're going downhill. It's coming to the end. We're no better off today than we was 10 years ago. What makes you think we're going to be better in 10 more years?
Well, since 2004 or 5, everybody's got a cell phone, and I could have you sitting here on the TV screen as well as being here. So things are advancing. Which ways? What else are they going to invent? Electric cars everywhere?
Well, I mean, they got that now as far as that goes. I don't have a clue, to be honest with you. I never look in that direction. I look in the future. I 100% have to look always spiritual. It's not going to be good.
So when you talk about the future or forecasting, unless it's religion or spiritual, then it just doesn't even go into your mind?
No, it's a deception. Everybody thinks because we swap presidents now, everything's going to be so much better. You know, but, he's not the Savior. Our laws on the books, we always say, God bless the United States of America. You tell me this. How can God bless this country with the ungodly laws that we got on the books? How is that possible? It's not. We're just being set up for the great fall.
What do you think's an illusion?
The illusion that everything's good when the Bible says it's going to get waxed worse and worse, and it has. Churches are shutting down. You can buy a church for a little bit of nothing. There's churches everywhere shut down. 18 years ago, I paid $10,000 for the pews that went in that church over there. I had to drive to Atlanta with 2 tractor trailers to buy them because you couldn't find them anywhere.
Probably had to refurbish them at that.
Yeah, I took a chainsaw and cut 18 feet off of them and shortened them. Today, pull up Marketplace, free. They're free everywhere. When you shut down the spiritual side of things,
they're even free. Come and
they
get
bring
them.
you free. Yeah, get all you want. The Marketplace is full of pews.
I remember when I built the Ralph Buckner Funeral Home, they paid like $60,000,
Yeah.
and they had to just beg for them, and it was like a miracle they even got them.
Look at Companion Funeral Home. That was a huge church, a thriving church, Clinging Ridge.
Oh yeah,
One of the biggest churches around. I just preached a funeral in that church, and that's all it is. It's a funeral.
I was
home.
driving by there a couple weeks ago, and they said that church had shut down. It
Yep.
already had a funeral home moving, and it wasn't just a few years ago. They were
600 member plus.
Yes, what? I
Right
won't
there,
imagine.
D, is a good sign. You better be looking up. It ain't gonna get no better.
I was driving by. I ride bicycles with Alvin and out in the county, and there's this one church that I went to a few times, and they had 50 members. I don't think they have, but maybe 5 now.
Yeah. We're shrinking. It's shrinking. I'm telling
And
you.
what are you going to do with 5 members?
And yeah, what you're gonna do? There ain't no more churches.
I think COVID sped that up.
100%.
'Cause-
It was meant to do that.
That's what I believe. I think
Yeah.
that was one thing that
I mean, how was Walmart safer than a church? But it was.
the liquor stores were open. They were necessities.
You know,
They
the
were
church,
they were labeled as
the
what?
church once upon a time had a voice, and it had a big voice in politics. It don't no more.
We don't want it to have a.
No, we
we
don't.
We want to keep it separate, but we would like for it to have a voice.
Yeah, it don't have voice no more. There's no morals. Morals are shot. Nobody even know what shame is. Shame don't even exist anymore. We reward people for doing things that they shouldn't be doing. You know, they get off drugs and alcohol. I'm good about that. Mm-hmm. They clean their life up. We reward them for things that they already should be doing. And they take that on. They think, wow, this is really good. It's really not. I used to say, Daddy, I used to tell my mom,
you're making too much sense.
If I clean my bedroom and mow the yard, can I go do this? I said, boy, that's what you're supposed to be doing. Do something you ain't supposed to do, then you might be able to get blessed. But we're rewarding people for doing things they shouldn't have been doing to begin with. And that's just where we are. And we expect more out of this. We weren't. And there's no reverse. It's not going to change. It's not going to change. There's no reverse. We can't go to the laws and change all them ungodly laws that's on the books.
We can't do it.
I get calls, can you marry me? Are you both females or both men? And I have to ask that question now. If I don't, I almost got stuck in that position once.
Oh, in other words, you can't.
I'm not going to marry the same-sex marriage. I have to ask that now. Who would ever thought?
What, can you refuse?
I do.
Well, can you?
I did. The answer is yes. But
there's some things about Polk County just ain't going to change.
You
right?
got that right. Animals in churches is one of them.
What part of Polk County was you raised in?
I was raised in Cleveland, but my papa was right there in Greasy Creek. So he was even the pastor of Greasy Creek Baptist Church for a long time. Preached at every little church from here to Cookson Creek and all back.
How far were you from the Greasy Creek Cemetery?
Right, that's where he's buried at. So the church is there, Greasy Creek Cemetery is right above.
Well, it's a nice setting, isn't it?
Yeah. My mom and papa both were buried there. But yeah, it's old backwoods, but yeah.
Well, it's going to the mega churches, and the small churches just are never going to recover since the COVID.
Yeah, and it happened. But see, even the smaller churches got off the beaten path. They really did. They started, again, they tried it, they got it to the finance stage of this thing. Graceway is not connected in the finance stage. It's going to rock no matter what, because again, we're not built on the financial stage of this thing.
All you got to do is pay the light bill and that's
go.
it. And the insurance, I guess.
I'm not getting paid. I work for a living.
Yeah.
I tell them all the time, you can't afford to pay me anyway. But again, they got off the beaten path. People wants to know the truth. People wants to know the truth. And yet...
People can handle the truth if you'll tell them.
Yeah, if you can tell them. Like I said, little boy drowned in the swimming pool. God didn't do nothing about it, but we don't feel that way about God. But boy, that man who let them happen, it's terrible. There you go. You need to figure this stuff out.
Well, that was some analogy. You even threw in the ring camera and everything.
Yeah. And again, you got a lady stands up, hey, he paid my electric bill. How many times have you heard that?
Oh, I hear it all the time.
Yeah. How would you think the lady next to you sitting there that lost her
son? I got some people, I'm hoping he will.
Yeah. I said before God will fix my flat tire, before he pay electric bill, house payment for me, save that little baby that got raped and murder molested first. But it happens every day. Something, D, is not right in that area, and nobody will address it. Graceway Chapel does. I'll sling it out there. Because before I want God to say he did this for me, he did that for me, that little innocent baby somewhere on this earth today just got raped, murdered, molested. Happens all the time. But God won't intervene there. That's the stupidity. Maybe God don't intervene at all. I'm just throwing these things out there. I want people to think for themselves. But you ain't going to never make me believe God paid an electric bill. I've never seen a check sign that said God at the bottom. I took it to the bank, they took it either. So we just need to find out what we want to do in this life. You'll have one life to live, and make sure you lived it right. Because it says in the last day, many on that day will say, Lord, Lord, did I not cast out demons, did I not do wonderful things in your name? He said, depart from me, I never knew you. Everybody knows Jesus. Big deal. But just Jesus knows you. That will be the final word. Everybody knows him, but you better hope he knew you. He said, I know you not. Depart from me, you worker of iniquity. So that's something to think about. Something to think about.
Do y'all have an invitation at your church?
Yeah, every service.
Will you sing the invitation? Somebody's
every
for
service.
what? For baptism or for?
If they want to come to the altar, get saved, or want to be saved, or find out if they have ever been saved, or
what if they want to be baptized?
And we have a little portable baptism we set up. And we have a baptism day of that too.
Where'd you get a portable baptism?
Got that 18 years ago. Ordered it offline. It's a real
So
nice
you
one.
can get one.
It's the same one they use in these big
So you
mega
have it like
churches.
once a week if somebody wants to get baptized?
Yeah.
Why not baptize them right then?
It takes too long to set up and everything, and you know.
But the Bible, he said, why tarriest thou? Right, be
we
baptized
take
right
them to the
then.
water fountain the best we can do.
Yeah, if you can't, you can't, right?
Right. And again, the Bible's spiritual. It's really not talking about the water itself, but we kind of address it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just like, we all pray over our foods, right?
Uh-huh.
Lord, let this be nourishing to our body. We eating that fried chicken, stomping our arteries out. I mean, it's so much is in vain.
Oh, it's so
unreal.
much. It's so much
And in the
in
Bible,
vain.
where do they give that? Pray over your food.
Or they'll pray before a football game and then they say, let's kill them.
Yeah, and a little baby over here being raped, murdered, molested, and you got a person over here saying, I ain't going to serve God. You got, he let me have this touchdown. It's very messed up.
This is messed. That is messed.
It's very messed up. And these are the issues I address at church, and I'm able to do that. You know why? They can't fire me because they don't pay me.
You ought to write a
I'm not
book
nothing.
on religious ironies that don't matter.
Well, there's one been written. It's called the Bible. So why add to it? I've been told write a book. I'm like, look, Bible's done written. Read it. It's done been there.
Let me ask you this, Ronnie. Are you excited about the future?
Always, because I'm going to go home one day. This world's not my home. Every day I live, I know I'm closer to that spot. So that's what makes me excited. This ain't always going to be this way. And I'm looking forward to that day ending one day. When it is, as I tell the church, tell everybody, you're going to have to deal with me. Because I'm going to praise my God, period. And that's what I do.
I love you, man. I really have, Ronnie.